Right now, there are two different types of video editors. The ones manually video editing, scrolling through the timeline, making every single little tweak and cut. And then there are the ones who connect an AI agent like Claude Code to Premiere Pro and let it handle absolutely everything, which is exactly what I'm about to show you in this video. How to agentically power your Premiere Pro setup with Claude Code. And look, I've been trying to be an agentic video editor for like the past 2 years or so, just experimenting with all the different types of tools, making videos on Remotion, Hyperframes, Runway. But only recently did I actually start using this Premiere Pro Orchestrator, which is Claude Code managing your Premiere Pro. I used to think this was really bad. I used to not trust it, but honestly, this approach just solves so many of the issues that I had when I was editing with AI agents, such as the fact that it's inside of Premiere Pro, meaning if I want to make any small tweaks, if I'm not happy with something, I can do that because I'm in my editing panel. And with this approach, it's not just one agent working on your video. It's an orchestrator agent orchestrating other agents to work on specific parts of the video. So you can have one agent trimming the main A-roll, one agent is adding captions, another agent is creating a motion graphic. So you have all these different agents specializing in their domain and delivering a final product that doesn't just feel like AI slop. Okay, but why do I even need this many different agents working on my video timeline? Well, let me just explain a few of my favorite use cases. And let's start with the use case, which was the reason I even wanted to make this video in the first place. When I was editing video ads, I had 30 different shorts created, and it would normally take me at least 30 minutes to an hour to render these shorts. But instead, even though they were all in one timeline, I literally told my AI agent to render them separately under this naming schematic into this folder, and it done just that. Another use case was moments where I wanted to add Remotion motion graphics. The issue is that with the old way, I would always find a transcript, take a screenshot, send it to Claude, have Claude create a motion graphic script, and then send it into Remotion. This is just many different steps in the way between me and my finished product. So I've spent countless hours preparing this video and showcasing some of my favorite use cases for connecting Claude Code to Premiere Pro. And so by the time you finish watching this video, you are going to be on the very cutting edge of agentic video editing. And so just before I show you how to actually set this up, let me show you a quick use case. So up here we have Claude Code selected with Fable 5. And so if I do one of these slash commands, like slash orchestrator talking head, you can see this is going to do a couple of different things at once. So let's send off just slash orchestrator talking head. And here we have a pop-up, which is asking me for how many shorts I want. So I'm just going to say 3 shorts, whether or not we want captions and what kind of style of captions. So I'm just going to go with the default just to make this quick. Again, this is just one simple slash command, and you'll see the kind of workflow that this does. So maybe at the start, this might take a little bit longer to set it up, have the agent understand what you actually want, have it looking correct, match your style, etc. But once you have everything set up and templates in place, you have an agent that understands your style, that understands how you want to edit, and you can then use that agent to actually edit your videos. Later in the video, I'm going to show you my favorite use cases. But over here, we can see that the orchestrator is essentially sending this long prompt. Like, this is obviously not a prompt made by me. This was a prompt made by the orchestrator. The different steps, what we actually need, and send it into this sequence. Okay, it's important that you actually understand the difference between the orchestrator and all these other assistant agents. So let me quickly explain to you the difference. Now, our Premiere Pro agentic setup is powered by the orchestrator who orchestrates all these different agents. When you give the orchestrator one big job, it doesn't do any of the editing itself. Instead, it opens and reuses separate assistant tabs, which are basically one assistant per sequence. So you can have one sequence for shorts, one sequence for long form, and it uses these assistants to do the manual labor of the actual work. So it's going to send tasks to these workers, wait for them to finish, and then it's going to check over the output to ensure that the video was actually done right. Now, even though I mainly just communicate with the orchestrator, we can open up these assistants as well so that we can see what the assistants are actually doing. But the main difference is that the orchestrator has way more tools at their disposal. It can spawn other agents, which the regular assistants cannot do. And it is essentially the boss coordinating everything, which is why we are communicating with the orchestrator for everything. Okay, so we can see here there's a bunch of stuff happening. If there is an error, it's going to continue because it's an agent. It doesn't just stop when it encounters one little error. It's going to try to find a way around it. But we can see down here that we have 2 sequences, and that's because we have created a backup sequence with the separate assistant working on this timeline so that any changes that get made, I can always revert back by just going through the whole sequence. Super easy. And by the way, while this is working, let me quickly go and show you some of the UI we have here. My favorite part is the motion graphics that you can have with Claude Code. As you know by now, Remotion can make pretty incredible animations, and so my old setup was very long, very boring, and very wasteful. So what I decided to do was just basically import this into MCP Studio. Again, I'll show you this later in the video, but let's take it one step at a time because I'm kind of getting a bit ahead of myself here. And as you can see, it does nothing for the longest time, and then it just starts working. So obviously now it's trimming. This isn't anything new, but again, this is still step 1. So I forget how long this video was, but now it's 8 minutes. Oh wait, we can check here. This was a 26-minute video, now it's an 8-minute 8-minute video. So first of all, even if this is not a good trim, you gotta admit that a 26-minute video is a bit longer than an 8-minute video. So it is going to be much faster to touch this up and trim this down. So that's already going to be about 20 minutes saved, but it's not done yet, because here I'm going to go back to Orchestrator and I asked it a question to give me a short step-by-step of what is left. It's going to make the caption transcript, flag any editor notes moments with red markers, plan 3 shorts, then with 2 workers in parallel, it's going to polish the long form with faster pacing and some zoom ins. Same thing with the shorts. Then it's going to add the captions, and then it's going to do a final quality check on both. Keep in mind, all I sent was hashtag Orchestrator talking head. That's literally all I said. And that is going to be the power of creating these workflows for your specific use case. I can see now that there is some red markers, so I'm guessing these markers are... Secondly, actually no, firstly I'm going to record the part where I say it's in bonuses. So I added my portfolio blueprint. No. Yeah, so this is really good because this is actual editing notes. Most of them are at the start and at the end, but it found the correct editor notes and it didn't cut them out, which is important because when I'm recording and I send notes to, well, some is to myself, but some is to my editor, I have specific notes of certain requests, so like what to keep in, what to use, etc. So yeah, it's good that I found these moments, kept them in, and marked them as red. Okay, now as you can see, it just trimmed up more shorts because it was waiting basically for the long form to be edited, and most of the work actually goes into the planning because as you just seen there, the execution is extremely quick. Okay, as you can see, it's kind of hard to keep up because it's going back and forth between the long form and short form, but we have the captions being added, we have the 3 shorts, we also have a marker here, and we have captions being added right now to the long form as well. So obviously this might look simple, it's just captions and it's just a screen, but there was a lot going on here. First of all, you could see that it not only resized the sequence setting, but the video was also a bit too small, so it fit the video into the frame by scaling it up. Then it actually ensured that it picks a good moment for the hook. You can read this marker, for example, it shows what to do for the hook. So for example, this hook was I've edited for clients like VidIQ with over 650 million views generated across my portfolio, blah, blah, blah. Then it shows the payoff, and we even have a title that we can use to post. And of course, not only the shorts, we also have this long form video. Not After Effects, not a template. Software you'll have access to in about 5 minutes. Because right now there are 2 different types of video editors. So as you can see, it added some zoom ins, I added a bit of trimming, captions, etc. all with one prompt. This is amazing. Okay, but even though this looks pretty cool, I still haven't even shown you the setup. So let me show you how to actually set this up inside of your Premiere Pro so that you can have an agentically powered video editing software. And then I'm going to show you way more practical use cases, which I actually use this for day to day. So firstly, if you go to the editing evolution down in the description, I'll bring you to this page where you can read about all the different softwares that we provide. Again, I'll show you a free alternative to the Premiere Pro MCP if you're interested by the end of the video, but there's a reason why I rebuilt this. Basically, Adobe has 2 different methods for creating these plugins. They have CEP and UXP. CEP is the older one where many of the existing plugins are already using it, and UXP is a new one, a more modern one. So in short, most of the connections that use Premiere Pro MCP to connect Claude Code or any other agent to Premiere Pro use one or the other, which is limiting the amount of things they can do. And so this one is actually using both of them. That's why it has so much more tools that it can access to actually create work inside of Premiere Pro MCP, which is why I built this in the first place, because everything else was just kind of lacking and it didn't have the agentic feel to it. It still felt like I'm doing stuff manually instead of just having it do everything. So regardless, alongside the Premiere Pro MCP, you do get 3 other softwares, which, I mean, maybe we can touch on them in a different video, but it is honestly one of the best offers in this space right now. I highly recommend you actually just at least watch this video just so you understand what it's about. And so down here in Premiere Pro MCP, we can see that we can download the Premiere Pro MCP for Mac, whether it's Apple or Intel or Windows. So click on download, then you're going to have to unzip the file. So whether you're on Windows or Mac, what I recommend is use an agent to set this up for you. Yeah, you can open it up, type in the right command and, you know, set this up yourself. But look, I asked it, does it see the Premiere Pro MCP on my MacBook? It said yes, it sees it and the repo is there. All I have to do now is say, set this up inside of my Premiere Pro 2026 so that it's working. Tell me when it's ready. Tell me what I need to do. This is how you set up anything, because here is essentially the setup guide. You need to have Node.js, obviously Premiere Pro, install CEP, register the MCP to the client, just a bunch of different stuff, when in fact you can just basically tell Claude to set this up, and this is my recommendation for all of you. The agent is going to do all this, and then all you need to do is restart Premiere Pro, add any macOS permissions, and then inside of Premiere Pro you just need to go up to Window, Extensions, MCP Studio, and it's going to be enabled. If you're having any trouble, by the way, you can just click on exit over here, then click on this space down here to like drop it down fully, open up settings, and ensure that you have the bridge enabled, so start bridge. And every now and then you should definitely click on this refresh button over here, which is going to update to the most recent version, but this should be done automatically anyway. Now inside of these settings, you can see this is where we can add our license key, which again you will find inside of the editing evolution down here. So you can just copy that, paste that into here, and then it'll be active. And then you can choose whether you want Codex or Claude Code, and it's going to prompt you to sign in via OAuth. And then of course you can just choose your model down here as well. super simple stuff. If there's something not working, you will see it up here. It'll say Premiere Pro disconnected or not connected. So once it's green, you can see that that is when it's actually working. And if stuff is still happening which you're not sure about, my best recommendation is just to use agents. This is honestly what I do for everything. Use these agents to help you out. Send it a screenshot, explain that the bridge is not being shown, whatever's not working is not working. Just send it a simple screenshot explaining your issue and ask it to help you step by step. Maybe you didn't download some dependency, some package, maybe it's an issue with the license key, whatever it is, it's easy to identify and solve for any issues that you encounter. So once you have Premiere Pro connected to your Claude Code, now is the fun part, because now I'm going to show you just a bunch of different use cases that I actually use this for. Now real quick, I do want to say that if you do want a free version of this MCP, you can use this GitHub repo that I'm sharing on screen right now as well. This is what I was using before I built my one. And it's still a great way to get the touch for using Claude Code with Premiere Pro MCP without spending any money apart from, of course, your Claude Code subscription. First of all, I think motion graphics are needed for one of these shorts. So maybe for this short.
I did for clients like VidIQ, I have over 659 views generated across my portfolio, working on over 50.
Okay, maybe this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the in and the out points. So from here to here, and this is essentially where I want my motion graphic to take place. And obviously there's two different ways we can create motion graphics. Number one is motion graphics script. And so what I can do is I can run the motion graphics script for this. Everything is going to be pasted in back into the chat window so that you can chat with everything there. And so now what is happening is it's getting the transcript for this section by reading the in and out point and creating the motion graphic prompt. So while that's generating, I'm going to go up here and open up Evolute, which is another tool that you get access to inside of the editing evolution. And here we are basically able to create motion graphics. So obviously this uses remotion and hyperframes. So for example, for the VSL, I have a bunch of different animations that I created for it. You can see how many different animations I actually generated with Evolute. But regardless, up here, I'm just going to go new chat. Let's see, this is about a 4-second section. So let's say 5 seconds. And we have 3 concepts for the motion graphic prompt. Okay, just from understanding how remotion works, I think number 3 is going to be the best. So 3 is good. Give me the prompt. It should be 5 seconds long. So going back to Evolute, I'm going to change this to about 5 seconds. Here, I'm going to ensure that we have both selected. And actually, this connects locally. You can choose whether or not you want to use cloud or local. I always choose local so that I can just sign into Claude Code or Codex via OAuth. If you have HeyGen enabled, you can also enable sound effects and or fast mode. And we have 4 skills out of the many different skills active right now. Also, we have some styles. So if you want to upload a style, you can do that. So that, once again, like I said at the start of the video, if you find something that works, you should redo it over and over and over again. So that's the same for something like styles. Okay, and as you can see, we have the prompt ready. You know what, I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to copy it, open up Evolute, send this off. The most important thing here is that we use a good model. So, I mean, Fable is good, but I think GPT 5.6 has been better at front end, to be honest. I mean, Kimi's unbelievable at front end as well, but yeah, we're going to use GPT 5.6 and we're going to ensure that both of them are active. Yeah, whatever. I think it's good. So let's send that off. And while this is generating, I can go back here and do another version, which is going to be remotion. So this is just going to basically create the motion graphic directly without the third-party tool. The only reason I want to use this is because first of all, we have both remotion and hyperframes. And second of all, Evolute gives me granular control over the motion graphics. So if there's something I want to change, I can do that really easily. But we can choose here between full frame and opaque background. So I'm going to do full frame and yeah, I'm just going to run it. Again, you can see it's looking at the sequence, going to find the range, find the transcript, create the prompt, send the prompt, contact remotion, and try to render it and upload it into here. While that's working, I want to go back into Orchestrator and I want to say, okay, I'm happy with the long form VSL video with the captions. Can you render that and just download it into my downloads folder? So I'm going to send that off and back into the motion graphic. Okay, so it's suggested once again 3 different ideas. Okay, this time I'm going to do number 1, I guess, because I don't want to do the same idea as last time. Okay, we can see here something is rendering. So I think it's rendering the long form video right now whilst writing the remotion code. So we can see here that the video is now rendered, long form rendered by an agent, exactly what I wanted in my downloads folder. So exactly where I wanted. And if I open it up, it is of course the exact video I wanted as well. So this is just one of those cool use cases that I actually like to use these agents for. Now, obviously this might not be that impressive because it's just one long form video, but trust me, when you have 30 separate shorts in one timeline and you do not want to render them one by one, this is an absolute life changer. You really do need to test this out on like some random specific use cases. Just try it. Even if it would fail 80% of the time, the one use case that you find where it really, really works and it actually does save you a lot of time is going to make up for all the times it doesn't work. Okay, we can see something being imported. So I guess, yeah, it did create the motion graphic script, which is nice. And it imported it in the correct moment in the timeline. So I'm just wondering if this is going to, like, how this is going to combat this. Because this is pretty good already. And again, this won't take me long to just like add a black background. But the one issue here is that it's not scaled up. And if we do scale it up, it's going to be a bit wrong. So yeah, there's a few ways we can combat this. Obviously, we can just tell it to re-render it in a better sequence setting, or to just add a black background. But I'm just curious to see if it's going to do anything. If not, this is honestly pretty cool anyway. This generated exactly what I wanted, 650 million views across 55 different clients. But yeah, I'll let it cook for a little bit longer. Okay, so it's saying it's in my shorts timeline. It's actually good animation, but the issue is obviously it's too small. So yeah, there's two ways we can combat this, but I think I'm going to just say it. Yeah, well, the issue right now is that you rendered a horizontal video and this is a 1920 by 1080 short. So yeah, let's just tell it to fix it. Like, let's imagine you are someone who's completely new to editing. You do not know how to add a black background, how to change sequence settings. Could you fix it by just typing in plain English? I think I actually made the same mistake on Evolute, but it's fine, I guess. Yeah, whatever. We do have our other animations over here. These are just the play buttons with 55 clients, 650 million views. I don't like this animation as much, to be honest, which is why I am going to go with this one instead. And in the meantime, I want to see how we go about color correction. Can you color correct the long form video with captions so that it's just a little bit more professional? I don't know. Zero direction, zero knowledge of color correction, just general talking points. And if you are an editor, by the way, you're going to have a huge advantage over non-editors because you can give it specific directions. If you're orchestrating these agents, you don't want to just tell them to do something like I just done here, like make the color correction better. These specific tweaks, you give it the direction. Like, this is meant to be a gloomy scene. It should feel mysterious, dark, and there should be a lot of suspense. Do your best job with the color correction to kind of help with this kind of a scene. Like, I'm not touching anything right now, just kind of like going back and forth. But it also fixed the animation here so that it is in the right sequence settings. So that's nice. But go back here, it basically generated some screenshots that I can look at so that I can make out whether or not the color correction is doing is good or not. And by the way, I'm surprised with how quick this was as well. Also, I just noticed that it put this above the captions, which was smart because if I move this underneath the captions, you can see that it's going against each other. So yeah, it was good that it added these above the captions. Keep in mind, these tools are only going to get better and better, by the way, like especially with the models, with all the different connections you can make. This is ultimately, as a video editor especially, you need to be on the cutting edge of this kind of stuff. You need to understand what they're capable of, where you can save yourself the most amount of time. Okay, so we can see now the lumetric color has been applied. It's very subtle. As I said, I didn't want anything extreme, but you can see it just brought out the colors of the wood in the background, made the blacks a bit darker. Yeah, this is actually a very nice touch because I didn't want it to overdo it. So again, there's probably a million different use cases I could show you in this video. There's so many different things. Probably won't be the last video I'm going to create on the Premiere Pro MCP because I'm still building it. I'm constantly adding more tools, trying to make the UI better, trying to make it as best as possible. So if you have suggestions on how I can improve it, just type it in the comments below. Or if you want to talk to me directly about it and use it for yourself, then I highly suggest you go to editingevolution.com, which is going to be the first link below the video, where you not only get access to the Premiere Pro MCP, but also Evolute, the AI Canvas Studio, which allows you to create any sort of images that you want. As you can see, a lot of the different images and videos that I generated for the landing page of the editingevolution.com were generated inside of the AI Canvas. And we also have 3D camera scenes, which is a completely unique software never seen before, which basically allows you to move cameras around and set up positions so that you can then turn those into videos. There's more info on editingevolution.com, but I do highly suggest that you join this so that you can stay on the cutting edge of agentic video editing, because I don't see anybody else in this space focusing on trying to help editors stay on the cutting edge so that they don't get replaced, so that they can take on more clients and so that they can make more money. So whether you're a video editor, content creator, or business owner who just wants access to the knowledge and understanding of how to actually stay on the cutting edge of agentic video editing, just click the first link below and I hope to see you inside.